So let's talk about Python. I'm assuming you already watched the video that we push on Meetup. If not, you have some homework, right? So essentially in that video, we explain how to set up your sexy laptop to start working with Python. If you didn't do that, and according to your emoji faces, I got the feeling the majority of you didn't follow these steps. It's pretty simple, right? Just downloading the installer, next. Couple of things, right? It will take you 10 minutes to complete the setup. On top of that, we also invited you to install Visual Studio Code, which is what you can see on the screen. So this is the most popular IDE, the most popular code editor. Does anyone know anything about VS Code, about that piece of software? No? Say it again? Yeah, correct. So it's maintained by Microsoft. Don't get confused with Visual Studio. So one thing is Visual Studio, which is the purple thingy, and one thing is Visual Studio Code, completely unrelated. Completely unrelated. Yeah? So Visual Studio Code, once again, according to GitHub, is the most popular code editor in the world. I discovered it in 2015. I was one of the speakers at the Google conference, at an international one. And I realized that all the Google employees, they were using it. I never heard about that. And then I asked them, why are you using that piece of software, Visual Studio Code, that didn't sound good to me? And they explained the advantages, and they were absolutely right. They were early adopters, obviously. VS Code, supported by a big company, monthly releases, open source, huge list of plugins, very active community. It's free. Written in JavaScript, which speaking is an advantage when we talk about JavaScript. But today we don't talk about JavaScript, right? I'll try not to make any reference to JavaScript. It's going to be hard. All right, so what you can see at the moment is just a basic setup where I just got hello.py, yeah? So that's the extension for Python files. So that means that I can start typing any Python, right? So for instance, you see on top of the screen, I have the editing part, and then at the bottom, I got the terminal. So the terminal is where Python will output the result of executing my algorithm. Yeah? So I hope you can see the screen. I think it's big enough, right? Yeah, should be all right. Cool. So I would like to do some tests. First of all, let's interact with the user. I would like to present, like a bunch of questions to the user, and depending on what the user answered to this question, we like to display some messages. Yeah. So let's do something like that. So first of all, when you deal with a new programming language, the first thing you do is to display a hello world message, right? Hello world. This is common in programming culture, right? So that's what I would like to do first. I would like to display a hello world message just to see if the output is the expected one or not. If I try to display hello world and I got a stack trace with an error, nothing else will work, right? So let's start with the most simplistic scenario possible. So in Python, you can type print to display stuff on the terminal. Yeah. Something you will notice is that thanks to VS Code, Visual Studio Code, as soon as I start typing, VS Code automatically suggests how to complete the line. On the video that you didn't watch, we explain how to set up VS Code to get that help, because I think it's pretty beneficial, right? All right, print, and then because print is a method in Python, I can call that method using parentheses, and now I can type hello world, right? So there are multiple ways of running the script. So I could go to the terminal and type Python 3 and then the name of the file, but because Codery is about productivity and efficiency, I'm going to use a shortcut. So I set up my computer to just pressing Command Enter, and the script will be executed automatically. Once again, you get the steps about how to do that in the video that you didn't watch. All right, so hello world, Command Enter. You see, at the bottom, hello world. It's good. That makes me feel comfortable, right? Hello, codedy world. And then it works. By the way, I'm not doing playback. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that concept, but I've been attending some conferences where the speakers didn't code. They just played a video, and they did like they were typing. You get the point? That's completely bullshit, right? We don't do that here. We do like coding, and we fail, we fail. All right.
Sorry, instead of code to code, I have one PowerShell there.
Yes, that's fine. Depending on your system, the message you will get there may be different. You may get code, you may get PowerShell, you may get Git bash, it doesn't really matter. The important thing is to have this sort of techie window with black text English speaking and white text on top, right? That's the important thing. All right, so hello codedy world. Let's ask some questions to our customers. So for instance, please tell me your name. Yeah? So now we can capture user information by typing input. What happens if we run the snippet again? You see? Please tell me your name. So now I can type my name is Peter. I can interact with the terminal. I'm sure you came across that situation at some point in your life, right? Where you had to interact with the terminal and maybe answer some questions. So if I press enter, the snippet is gone, right? Because there is nothing else. From a user experience point of view, that's a bit weird, right? Okay, we tell the system our name and then what? Thank you for nothing, right? Let's talk a bit about UX. At least, let's say thank you, right? So can we do print something like that? At least, right? So let's run this snippet again. Please tell me your name. My name is Peter. Thank you. Or can we say something like, thank you, Peter? Yes, of course. One of the ideas behind using input is that we can capture what the user has typed, and then we can do whatever we want with it, right? So to gather that information, we can create a variable. For instance, name equal. Yeah? Name equal input means we can capture the name of the user. So now I can, at the end of the thank you string, I can add plus and then the name of the user. You see, VS Code is immediately telling, hey, do you have a variable called name? Do you want to use it? Yes. So we run it. Please tell me your name. My name is Peter. Thank you, Peter. All right? Obviously, it will look much better with a space after thank you. But apart from that subtle detail, I hope you agree with me that we managed to capture user information, right? Do you have any questions? No? Let's talk about styling. As you may have noticed, let's focus on line number 2. Should we add spaces surrounding the equal symbol? Yes or no? You may have that question several times. Should we add an empty line? When? Why? All these sort of considerations, right? Thankfully, in Python, there is a styling standard. So there is a guide, a very long document, telling you what's the best way of styling your code. And I strongly recommend you to follow that style guide. This is called PIP 8. So if you search on Google PIP 8, that guide will recommend you how to do, every single aspect of coding. Yeah? So whenever you are not sure about your style, you should use it. And now the question is, do you have to remember every single line on pip 8? Not really. Thankfully, with VS Code, we can simplify the process of looking after styling standards. If you do right-click and you press Format Document, please pay attention to line number 2. Oh. You see? VS Code can help us somehow to style our document according to pip 8. Yeah? If it's the first time you do that, it may not work. If it's the first time you do directly format document, you'll get a warning here on top of my face saying, hey, you are trying to style Python. I don't know how to help you, but I can install a plugin for you. Do you want me to proceed? Of course, yes, right? So VS Code is very proactive, telling you how to proceed with the next steps. All right, so we got the name of the user. Let's keep asking questions. For instance, let's see how old our customer is, right? So let's add another print. How old are you? Peter? Yeah? Well, to be honest, the exclamation mark should go at the end, something like that, right? How old are you? So now we can capture the age of the user. You see, it's the same idea. Age, input. So now, essentially, we can display some messages like, you are year old. Yeah? Let's see if that makes any sense. So if I run the snippet again, my name is Peter, I'm 21. Thank you, Peter, you are 21 years old. So that works fine, right? But what happens if we really like Python, we enjoy working with it, we create the app, we start making business, so our startup gets some funding, we become a unicorn, multi-billion piece of software, and our business analyst thinks that it's a bit aggressive to ask how old a customer is. Because we still want to know which segment of the population we are dealing with. We want to know how old our customers are, but we don't want to ask that question explicitly. So the deal here is, the suggestion is, let's ask the user the year he or she was born. And out of that number, we'll calculate the age. Does it make sense? Because that sounds a bit less aggressive, theoretically. All right. So let's change the structure a bit. So now my variable will be year. And instead of how old are you, the question will be, when were you born, Peter? So that's the year. So now you tell me, how do I calculate in a simplistic fashion how old the user is based on the year he or she was born? Today's date? All right, so can we do 2018 minus year? More or less? Will this work? In theory, that should work, right? No, that won't work. We're going to see the first error in our life about Python, yeah? Like when you see the first wild animal in the forest, right? It's very exciting. So let's see how Python is when dealing with errors. To me, because I've been working with many programming languages in my life, I don't care that much about how many times I fail, but to me the important thing is my ability to react to these errors. So if the programming language is really good, I will learn from the error and I will fix it. If the error is weird and completely disconnected from the eventual solution, it will frustrate me as a developer. So I don't mind if it fails, but I think we should be able to find a way to fix it. All right, let's run it. Tell me your name. Peter, when were you born? In 1988, for instance, right? Oh, and we got our first error. You see? Unsupported operand types for int, that's an integer, it's a number, and str, which is a string. So at some point we are mixing, we are performing an invalid operation. Can you figure out in which line the problem is? Number 6, that's correct. 2019 is a number, yeah? Why? Because I can add 5, remove, subtract 7, it's a number. But now the question is, what type of data year is? It's a, correct, that's correct. It's a word, it's a string. In other words, when we interact with a terminal, Python doesn't really know if that's a number, if that's a Boolean. It doesn't know the type of the data. It's just text. It's just text, right? Because it's just text, we have to transform that piece of text into an actual number. And thankfully, Python is telling us how to do that. It's very easy to transform between data types by doing, something like that. It changes color. You see it's green or blue or turquoise, whatever that color is. Yeah? It's a way to visualize that is a reserved method in Python. That will transform our string here into an actual number. What do you think, guys? Do you think it will work now or not? Should work? All right. I don't think it will work neither. But I think now it will fail because of a different reason. Let's have a look. My name is Peter. I was born in 1988. It failed again. How come? Can anyone tell me what the problem is now? Yeah, so which slide the problem is? Correct. Look at what happened now, guys. That's fine. It didn't fail again here, which is good. That means we fixed the issue, but now we've got another problem. When we use print, when we mix template literals, like thank you, static text, with variables, they should have the same type. Thank you, that's a string. Name, that's a string. You are, that's a string. But age, what type of data age is? It's an integer, correct? Python doesn't really like that. However, thankfully, I hope you can smell how to transform that integer into a string. Can you figure out, just taking that as a reference based on what we did 2 minutes ago? Look, str, right? And then, what are these pop-ups? Sorry about that. H, right? We are doing the opposite process. First, we transform from string to integer, and then we transform from integer to string. So let's run it. Enter your name, Peter, 1988. It works. Thank you. You are 31 years old, more or less, yeah? Because if I was born on the 5th of December, I will be 30, yeah? Anyway, I hope you get the idea. And now, I got a question for you. So, we've been already struggling with data types, integers, strings. Be careful. Python is a loosely typed language. In other words, it's a dynamically typed language. When talking about programming languages, obviously there are multiple ways of group them. Functional programming languages, object-oriented programming languages. Another category is whether they are strongly typed languages or whether they are loosely typed languages. The difference is, in Python, a variable can be a string, but then suddenly it can become a number, and then it can be a list, and then, so we can dynamically change the type of data. That gives us a lot of freedom. If you were a Java developer, like you are learning Java, for instance, you cannot do this sort of sexy stuff. In Java, you declare a variable, that's a string, and that will be a string forever. It's more solid, it's less flexible. Do you know that dichotomy about freedom versus security now is very trendy when talking about social rights and what do we prefer? Do you want freedom? Do you want borders? What do we want, right? This is happening. So the same thing applies to coding languages. What do you want? Do you want the freedom of being able to change types from string to number and vice versa, blah, blah, blah? Or do you want a mechanism that clearly controls everything? Yeah, more like having being part of a, dictatorship mechanism, right? Anyway, so no approach is better than the other. That depends on your appetite. You may have your preferences. Because I'm historically speaking a JavaScript developer, and JavaScript is similar to Python, I prefer that flexibility, but I understand the risks. I can fail easily. With a strongly typed language, if I do something wrong, the language will hit the problem in my face quickly. Yeah? Anyway, just to let you know the differences. All right, so we got our message in place, but I hope you agree with me that this is not very professional. Yeah? Will this algorithm work fine in 2023, for instance? Probably not, right? Why? Because we are hard coding 2019 as not professional. That's a classic issue when you work with graduates or junior developers. They hard code years and time zones, yeah, and things like that. Don't do that. All right, so let's learn how to fetch the current year, whichever it is. So in Python, you can import dependencies. So far, we didn't have to import anything. But if you want to deal with things like dates, look, on top of your snippet, you can do import date time. Yeah? And that enables a new world of possibilities. Because out of that component, we can get the date, the time, any time-related utility. All right, so now, I'm going to create a new variable called current year equals. Let's learn how to fetch the actual year in Python. Datetime, that's an object that has another property called datetime, funny enough. And now, you can call the now method. That will give us a lot of details about what time is now, hour, minute, seconds, month, yeah? And now there is a property called year, unsurprisingly. Datetime.now.year. So that will give us the number, current year is 2019. So now, the only thing we need to do is to replace the ugly, hard-coded 2019 with a sexy variable that will obviously change on the 1st of January of 2020. Does it make sense? Let's run the snippet again. Nothing should change, to be honest, right? It should still say that we are 31 years old. Here we go. Yeah? But at least now our function is stronger. This is one of the goals when we create coding, not only about Python, about any programming language. The function should remain stable, valid, productive, efficient, regardless of what the conditions are. Now our condition is much stronger than it used to be. Any questions?
How do you know, you knew the daytime year, like that was how it's called the current year, right? But if you don't know, is there
Yeah, there is something, yeah, it's called Google. So if I say Python get current year. How to get the current time in Python? So then you can see, you can print the year, the month, the day. Yeah, of course, there are some official docs. Yeah? There is an API in Python that you can check all these things, right? But generally speaking, what developers tend to do is go to Google and then go to Stack Overflow and then copy and paste the first answer. Yeah? I don't like that, but it's the way the world works, right? So one of the things we do here, as part of the bootcamp, is to do code reviews. A code review means you work on a piece of code, someone, could be me or someone else, reviews that piece of code, and then it gets approved or rejected. That's the way the real industry works. And because of my experience, I tend to smell very quickly when someone did the actual code or copied from Stack Overflow. Yeah? Let me give you an example. Imagine that you are building a mobile app and then you want to create a sign-up journey. So you want to validate users' email. Rather than thinking how to evaluate a user email, you go to Google and then you type validate email, and then Google will show you a pretty popular answer, actually. How to, I click somewhere. How to validate an email address. This is about JavaScript, but doesn't matter, right? And then you see the original question was asked 11 years ago, active 7 days ago, still going, right? Not that simple as you can imagine. 4,000 people vote for it. That page has been viewed 2.8 million times. It's one of the most popular questions on the entire Stack Overflow platform. All right, so then if you're a lazy developer, you scroll down and then you see the first answer has 4,000 upvotes with a green tick. What you do next? You copy and you paste it into your code, right? Of course, you do few smoke tests. You play with a couple of email addresses. sexyboy25@hotmail.com, it works. sexyboy25, it doesn't work. So your system works, right? But then you go live, you start getting traction, customers, and a few months later, you get an email from your support department saying, hey, some customers are complaining because they cannot sign up with valid email addresses. And then you say, what the hell? That should work. I copied from Stack Overflow, right? This is rocket science. And then by the second time in your life, you came across this page. And by the first time in your life, you decide to keep scrolling beyond the accepted answer. And then what you realize, there's something completely new to you. Yeah? You're like like an explorer going to somewhere in Africa that nowhere has been there before, right? No one has scrolled that much. And look at what we got here. This solution eliminates valid in-use emails. Do not use. And that happened because you didn't have any control on that piece of code. You just copy and paste it. That's a black box. But because you're a bit desperate, you scroll down and then you realize that someone managed to find a valid answer according to the RFC standard of the W3C, blah, 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 blah. And then you copy and you paste it. But the only thing that's happening is you are making the problem worse because you don't have any control on that piece of code. Yeah? So we should avoid doing copy and paste code from the internet. Anyways, back to our algorithm. Can you tell me, guys, what syntax are we, what type of variable name are we using here? What case is that? A snake case. Fantastic. Fantastic. That's a snake case, yeah? Florian, because look at the shape like a snake, yeah? More or less. So, for instance, if I rename it to something like that, what case is that? It's camel. Looks like a camel, right? That's correct. And what if I do something like that? If I capitalize the word, so the first character is capital. It's Pascal. That's correct, Pascal case. And the last one, what if I do that? with a dash in the middle of the word. What's the name of this case? Say again?
It doesn't exist, but then
No, it doesn't. No, in Python, that's not valid. That's true. But in other languages, it's valid. So I will accept two answers. One if you are about 45 years old, and one if you are below 45 years old. I just made that number up. So if you are a classic developer from the 80s, you may remember that that was called Lisp case, because Lisp was the first programming language to use it. If you go to Stack Overflow and you talk about Lisp case, the millennials will look like, who is this guy? It's very weird, right? In the 21st century, developers like to call that kebab case, because it looks like the blade going through the meat, right? So anyway, out of this list of possibilities, which one should we use in Python? Lisp, Pascal, Camel, or Snake? Snake. All right? As you may expect, my next question is, why? Yeah, Python uses Snake. And the reason why Python uses Snake is, back to pip 8, you remember, hopefully I can find the line where Python tells you how to create a variable. To create a variable, use the naming rules, lowercase, with words separated by underscores. That's a Snake case, underscore, yeah? All right, cool. So back to our algorithm. Imagine that based on how old the customer is, we want to tell him or her if he or she is young or an old person. Yeah, that application is a bit aggressive, but that's fine. So let's talk about conditional statements, if else. So in Python, you can do something like that. If age is less than 50, colon, print, you are young, happy face. Else, print, you are old, sad face. That's the way you can create a conditional statement in Python. So let's run it and see what happens. My name is Peter. My name is Peter. Here you go. I was born in 1988 once again. You're young. If I try again, my name is Peter, but I was born in 1911. You're old. So it's clearly working. But, you know, we introduced that feature, and then our customers start feeling a bit angry because we are telling the people at 51-year-old, they are old already, right? That's a bit unfair according to our customers. So we decided to ask them a new question. The new question is, do you like dancing? If the customer likes dancing, we'll tell them that they are young, regardless of whether they are 10 or 100 years old. Yeah? If you dance, you have a young spirit, at least. So, let me add a new question. Print. Do you like dancing? So now, I can create a new variable, like dancing equals input. So now, let's talk about expression, Boolean algebra. So we'll consider that a person is young if he or she is below 50 years old or he or she likes dancing. Does it make sense from a human point of view? Yes? So how do we add the OR operator in Python? Just type OR. As predictable as sexy, right? Or like dancing equal, not the double equals. Yeah? With single equals, we assign a value to a variable. With double equals, we just compare two expressions. Yeah? If like dancing equal yes, then you are young. So, let's give it a go. My name is Peter. I was born in 1911. Do you like dancing? Yes. So what the algorithm will return now? Are we young or not? Here you go. You're young. Let's repeat again with different data. My name is Peter. I was born in 1911. Do you like dancing? No. Am I young or not? No. Yeah, you get the point, right? If one of these conditions is satisfied, we are young. And now, let me change the algorithm a bit. What happened if I replace the OR expression with AND? Can anyone tell me, from a business point of view, what's the message we are telling our customers? Say again? So what do we need to do?
Have both conditions met at the same time.
Exactly, Florin is right. So both conditions have to be satisfied to be young in this particular use case, right? So we need to be below 50 years old and we have to like dancing. In other words, if we run it again, my name is Peter. I was born in 2001. So I'm a young person, clearly, right? But I don't like dancing. What will the algorithm say? Am I a young or an old person?
Old.
That's correct. Yeah? So you see, that's the way you can mix conditions. And obviously that's up to you to play with different strategies, depending on what you are trying to achieve, of course. All right, any questions? No? Cool. So let me change the topic a bit now. So Python is about data science. And one of the most important, if not the most important structure when talking about data science is the list. So a list is a collection of index elements. Let me give you an example. I'm going to create a list of characters. Look at the syntax with square brackets or square braces. You can add a comma-separated list of strings. For instance, Donald, Kim, and Boris. Yeah, I got my list of characters. So now, if I print them and I run this code, what is this list of characters? Yeah, easy. Can anyone tell me how can I access the first element of the list? Dot zero. Like that? Let's run it. It doesn't really like it. Invalid syntax, Florin. That's not the way it works. One maybe. All right, let's try with one. Should we try with two? Maybe one number will work, right? Maybe 3,000. No, that's not the right syntax, guys. Give me another square bracket. That's correct. That's the correct syntax in Python to access a particular element. And this is important. When talking about indexes, 0 is the first index in Python. From a human point of view, you start counting at 1. Yeah? If you got elements, if I have three coins on the table, when I get the first one, I say I got 1. You don't say I got the coin number 0. That doesn't make sense, right? But from a technical perspective, generally speaking, the first index is 0. So if we run it again, you can see now it returns Donald. So how can I access the last element of our list of characters? 2. Let's see if it works. That's correct. But what if I receive a list with 4 characters? Ah, that's interesting. I'll go back to that point in a minute. So, can anyone think about any way of getting the last element of a list, regardless of how big the list is? Length. Yes. Yes. So, there's a method called len, L-E-N, that will give you the size of the list that you provide. So, will this work? Will that return number 4? Oh, -1. Let's run it. That doesn't work. That throws an error. Look at the error. Index error, list index out of range. Can anyone tell me what that highlighted code will return? What number? Wrong? 4. Because our list has 4 items. So in other words, that's the same as running that. Characters of index 4. Does that index exist at all? No, because we start at 0. So what do we have to do? -1. That's correct. We remove one number, right? So if we try again, now it will return the last one. And it doesn't matter. Size doesn't matter here, guys. Regardless of how big your list is, it will always return the last element, right? That's why, once again, this algorithm is very sexy, because it's very strong. All right, but as someone suggested, there is a sexier way of solving the same problem. So all we've seen so far is very similar to other loosely typed languages like JavaScript. But now, look, with 0, we get the first element. With 1, we get the second element. But now, if 0 is the first one, can we do that? Yes, we can. So if you pass a negative number, that means it will start from the end of the list. So we'll return the first element starting from the right. That's pretty cool, isn't it? It just simplifies everything. Look, Mr. Corbin is there, right? Cool. So that's the way you can access a particular element. What happened, guys? If I want to get a range, so for instance, the first 2 elements of the list, there is a very sexy way of doing that. 0, not comma, colon. The syntax, it takes, to me, it took a while to really get used to it. Do something like that. So that means, first of all, start getting elements starting from index 0 until and excluding that index. In other words, how many elements will that command return? 2, that's correct. Index 0 and index 1. There you go. Can you tell me how can I get the second and the third elements? 1 and what?
3.
And 3, that's correct. It will ignore the first one, it will start here, 1, 2, and then 3 won't be incorporated. Yeah, so that should return Kim and Boris. Here you go. Yeah? So as you can see, Python is very agile, it's very smart when dealing with lists. It's really good. Solving the same problem in JavaScript is more complicated, definitely. All right, so we know how to get data, but how can we add data? Yeah? So in main, we got a list of 3 elements. So let's see how can we add a new element. I'll show you the solution in 2 flavors. The first one, if I want to add a new element at the end of the list, I can characters dot, look, literally the first suggestion, alphabetically speaking. Append. Yeah? So that will add Jeremy at the end of the queue. There you go. But what happens if in reality we want to add Jeremy anywhere else? For instance, if I want to add Jeremy at the beginning of the list, there is another very sexy command called insert. And with insert, you pass two arguments. First of all, the index, and then the element. So that will add Jeremy on index number 0. So that means Donald will become index number 1. That's correct, Florian. You see? And likewise, of course, I can add Jeremy anywhere. So if I add number 2, can you tell me the character sequence now? That's correct, Florian. That will be Donald, Kim, Jeremy, and Boris. Why? Because you say, hey, whatever was on index number 2, now it's going to be Jeremy. Whoever was there, move it to the right. Push it. Yeah? And what if we don't want to add Jeremy, but we want to replace Boris with Jeremy? I'm not trying to be political here, by the way. So how can we do that? Well, do you remember how to access a given position of the list? How did we do that 4.5 minutes ago, guys? How did we read a given index? Square brackets, yeah? So if I want to replace Boris, if I want to read Boris, sorry, that's the way I can read Boris, right? But now, can I reassign it? Of course I can. Yeah? So that will replace Boris with Jeremy. There you go. Easy, right? And of course, I can pass any index. So if I replace Donald with Jeremy, it will go to the first index, right? I think that's pretty simple. And now, we've talked about how to read, how to add, how to edit. What else do we have? Remove, correct. How do we remove an element? I'll show you a way. Look, characters dot remove. That's expected. But now, listen, because that's a bit mind-blowing. Rather than passing an index, for example, remove whatever is on index number 1, that's not the way it works, actually. If I run that, it throws an error. Look at the error. X is not in list, because that's not the way it works. So in Python, you have to pass the element you want to remove. It's a bit exotic, right? That's the way it works. So it will iterate on the list, and as soon as it finds the element, it will remove it.
But what about if you want to make a list of 2 elements on always?
If you want to make a list of 2 elements, what was your condition?
That was 3 elements, and then you want to add only 2 elements.
Yeah, but which one do you delete and why?
The one in the middle.
The one in the middle.
Like you have chosen.
Probably you need a loop. Yeah, you need to use a loop. And yeah, sorry, unfortunately that's not part of this session. I think, no, that's fine. The question is very valid, right? If you want to add the element in the middle, you need to use a for loop. But anyway, yeah. All right, so just to keep it simple, that's the way it works. What happened? Do you think, guys, this will work? In other words, is Python case sensitive? It is. It is. In other words, if I try that, it throws an error because Kim is not on the list. Yeah? And the same problem applies to variable names. If I create a variable called characters, all in lower cases, can I then print it starting with capital C? Probably not, right? If I run that, look, I don't even have to run it. VS Code is immediately highlighting the issue, like, hey, don't even try guy, because this is not going to work, right? So yes, undefined variable characters, because it was originally declared in lower cases, yeah? So yes, Python is case sensitive. All right, do you have any questions? No? Cool, so we got 10 minutes left, so I would like to show you something a bit different. We here at Codery, we do a lot of coding, as you can imagine, unsurprisingly. So I would like to show you how do we train our coding skills. Some of you know that already. We have our own coded platform that is being used by about 2,000 developers from 54 countries. So I'll show you how to join it, by the way. So the first time you go, that's free, right? That's why I'm showing that to you. So you go to codery.com, you get all the information about our bootcamps and stuff like that. And then there is a play button. Actually, it's the first button. So when you click on it, then you can start practicing with the platform. And essentially, you'll get something like that. So in here, you can practice your coding skills across different languages and difficulty levels. Starting from yesterday, literally, this is mobile friendly. So you can run training exercises with your smartphone. And actually, this is what I would like to do now. I would like to solve some problems about Python and mobile. So let me show you how it works. Imagine this is your smartphone in landscape mode. You can also play in portrait mode. So I will select Python. Let's do something very simplistic, just to see if we've learned something today. So now I will select numbers, because we'll talk a bit about numbers. You can also train if else, reading lists, many things, right? And let's talk about numbers. So the way it works is, you get first of all a problem, and then on the right hand side, you have to complete the exercise. So the algorithm has been partially written, so you have to find the right answer to that particular problem. All right, so in this case, look at what the problem is. We receive a number, which is a floating number, so it may have decimals, and it also can be negative. So the goal of the exercise is to, first of all, get the positive number and then round it. So what's the positive equivalent of minus 17.7? 17.7. That's the equivalent positive, right? And what's the result of rounding 17.7? 18. So rounding a number implies you get the closest integer. So what's the result of rounding 4.1? 4. And 4.9? And 4.5? It's 5. Yeah? Why? Because it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah? So that's the way it works. All right. So, I click by mistake one of the options. Sorry, I didn't want to do that. So right straight away you know that option B is wrong. I didn't want to click there. So can you look at the options? Look at the 4 options. Can you tell me, guys, which is the right answer? So how can we round a number and then get in the absolute equivalent? A, B, C, or D? D for Denmark? Yeah, do you agree on that? Let's see if we get any confetti. Here you go, confetti time. That means all your answers are right. Yeah? So let's jump to question number 2. In this particular case, we have to do many things here, but don't worry. Eventually, you will see that the algorithm is mostly written already for us, regardless of what the expectations are, but we have to add the second digit of the age and return the result. So we have to add, we receive an age of a user, and we want to get access to the second digit, 0, 3, 5, whatever. So out of this list of options, can you tell me which one will give us the second digit of the number? A, B, C, or D?
B.
D for Denmark?
B.
B. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? All right, should we mark B? This is like, how is the problem? Who wants to be a millionaire, right? Something like that, right? All right, is it option B? That's correct. It's option B. Why? Because look, we got the 8s, we transform it into a string, because 8 is a number. Once it's a string, then we can access, like we did with the list, index 1 of the string, that's the second character. And eventually, can anyone tell me why we are transforming the string back to a number?
Because you are using it.
Correct, because we are using it as part of a more complex calculation. We saw that problem before when calculating the age of the user, something like that, right? Cool, fantastic. Question number 3. What we got here? Get the total. That's a really good question. So we have a list of numbers, and we have to calculate the total. So the result of adding 1 plus 2 plus 3 is clearly 6. The result of adding 1 plus 0 plus minus 9 is minus 8. Fantastic. So how do we get the total of adding a list of numbers? A, B, C, or D? That's a classic problem. We don't know the syntax in Python, right? All of them could be valid, right? Is it total? I don't know. It's, I don't know, right? D. Are you sure D? Let's go for C. I want to do something wrong, right? It's not C. So that's not the method in Python, right? It's not total. Is it add? Could be add, right? No, it's not add neither. Is it aggregate? Maybe it's not. So then, hopefully, otherwise the platform has a problem because there are no valid answers. There will be some. There you go, confetti time. Yeah? Fantastic. So question number 4, if I don't remember. Maximus, decimus, listus. What the hell that means? So, we received 2 lists of numbers. Please find the maximum value contained in either of these lists. That's a good question. So in this sort of problems is where you can see how powerful Python is dealing with numbers. Because solving the same problem with JavaScript, for instance, is more complicated. All right, so let's look at the option. We've got 2 lists, list 1 and list 2. Then we want to get the maximum number contained on either list. Any thoughts? A, all right? So the thing is, we got 2 lists. So what someone is suggesting is to wrap these 2 lists into another list. Sorry. I don't think that's correct. So the max method receives 1 array.
Maybe that's going to be D because it's adding both of them and afterwards taking the maximum of both of them.
That's correct, Florin. So in Python, you can easily join 2 arrays with a plus symbol. It's pretty cool. It's really cool. So list 1 plus list 2 will create a new list, flat list with all the numbers contained in list 1 and list 2. And then we can just get the maximum on that new list, right? There you go. It works. So, the very last question. The Holy Grail. Does anyone know what the Holy Grail is, by the way? Well, In France? No, it's not in France.
Oh, is it something with Jesus Christ?
Oh,
Yeah, it's something with Jesus Christ. Yeah, fantastic.
movie.
Nothing to do with JavaScript. No, it's not about the movie. That's regardless of whether you are a Catholic person or not. There is something that the people think it's a Holy Grail. It's a physical Grail that they consider the Holy Grail. Well, that exists, and this is in my town in Valencia, where I come from, right? It's interesting because Indiana Jones spent a lot of time looking for it. Hitler spent a lot of time looking for it. It's in my town, right? You can visit it. Anyway, the Holy Grail. So what do we need to do here? Let's pay attention to the problem. So we try to get some funding. So we're trying to, on each scenario, we're looking for money, essentially, right? Because we have good friends. We have people, we know Led Zeppelin, we know Genesis, we know Pink Floyd. We're really good related, right? We have good relationships. So we're going to ask 20 grand to each of these groups, right? So this problem is, all right, to create a new company, I need 140K. So if that list of groups is going to give me 20K each, sorry, no, that's wrong. I'm not looking for 140K. I'm looking for 200K. Yeah? I need more money just to pay WeWork building in Shoreditch, right? So I need 200K. And this is my list of bakers, my list of founders. If each supporter is offering 20K, so how much money do I still need, right? So if I needed originally 200K, and that gave me 20, plus 20, plus 20, in total, I got 60K. So 200K minus 60K, how much left I got? 140, right? Yeah, I think that's easy to grasp. All right, so we need to create the algorithm. So first of all, what do we got on the first line of the algorithm, guys? A, B, C, or D? Am I speaking Chinese? D? B? D for Denmark? D. The length investor. So what will that return? That will return 3 on the first case and 2 on the second case. All right, 3 minus what?
Minus the 20 times the... should be the length.
What will that return, guys? That will return 0 all the time, right?
Yes.
I guess that's not right. I mean, let's test it. It may work, probably not, right? It doesn't work. We are not even playing with numbers. We are not even adding or removing. There is no operation at all. So let's go back to the first problem. B. All right, so B means, okay. And then what do we got on the second placeholder? B again. Once again, what operation are we performing? Are we adding? Are we subtracting? What are we doing? Subtracting. I don't see that in the code. I cannot see any minus symbol at all. So if I try again, that will miserably fail. So back to option A. Look, sometimes it's hard to find the right answer, but we can easily discard the answers that are clearly wrong. So B and D are clearly wrong because they are not adding any operation. These two could be okay because they are adding or subtracting, but this one are doing nothing. So be A. Why A and not B?
Because it's 200,000 subtract what they invested in.
I completely agree with you. So it's 200K minus, so I need 200K. So how much do I need? 200K minus what I already got. A, that's correct. Because each investor will give me 20K, right? So if I got one investor, I will get 20K multiplied by 1. If I got 2 investors, multiplied by 2. How many investors do I need, guys, to satisfy my financial appetite? 10, that's correct, yeah? All right, so let's see if it works. It does work, right? So that means we have hopefully completed the challenge. Here you go. And this is giving you the score. Yeah? So this is what our students, I click somewhere. Thank you. So this is what our students use on a daily basis to improve their technical skills. And that's one of the reasons why they are, technically speaking, way more prepared for the market than many other students in London, right? So this is the platform, you can use it. You got many video tutorials about Python, JavaScript, React. So apart from that training that you are invited to play either using your laptop or your smartphone, we got something called coding challenges. A coding challenge is a very popular session where we all have to face individually or as part of a team the same questions. Yeah. So FYI, we've run about more than 400 challenges so far in London, Amsterdam, Madrid, Paris, Moscow, all around Europe. As a reference, 2 days ago, we ran the largest web event of the year in the UK. Spain versus UK versus France versus Russia. This is the way we help our students to be motivated. They play by teams, and then we calculate the median score of each team. So you can see how good developers on each country are, right? So yeah, that's the type of activities we run at Codery. You can see many statistics about the best developers of the day, of the week, of the month, best developers by country, you know, many different statistics, right? And that's pretty much it. If you like this session, if you like Codery, if you want to become a professional developer and you want to join Florin, you can book your place, right? Very affordable, we don't make business. And just as a way to say thank you, in such a complicated day, including the fire alarm issue, we'd like to give you a 10% discount if you book your place in the next 24 hours. Places will sold out quickly. Yes, 3 places left for the next cohort. Yeah. Also, it's worth to mention the next cohort will finish on the 28th of February, from 6th of January to 28th of February. Timing is great because March is one of the best months in London to get a job. Many companies, they complete their financial year, they allocate new budget, new teams, new people moving in and out, lots of opportunities, right? So if you're thinking to become a professional developer, don't wait 5 years because you may have to fight against millions of professional truck drivers who are likely to lose their jobs because of automation, right? So now it's great timing, but this is not going to last forever. All right, apart from that, guys, I hope you enjoy this session. I'm going to stay here for a while, so feel free to catch up, to have a chat about whatever you want, cars, fashion, football, and then we're going to play a table tennis tournament, a friendly one. So you are more than welcome to use it, to join us. Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Tomorrow we have a very nice session with Time to React in Shoreditch, so feel free to join us. I hope you enjoyed. I'm looking forward to see you on the next one.